Hi, it's Russ from Pro Tools Expert. I've got my hands on the new VTM from Slate Virtual Tape Machine. This has been talked about for some time. It's long awaited. Slate are making a name for themselves in the digital forum, and in particular the emulation stuff they've been doing with the French guy, Fabrice Gabriel. I met him at NAMM this year with Stephen at a party and had chatted with him, and this guy has the brain of a planet. So he's been really beavering away to try and get this one ready. And it is based upon a 16-track 2-inch and a half-inch 2-track. So in a way, you might have seen a recent review I did of the UAD stuff, where you have the Studer 800 and you have the ATM 102, and in a sense they are two separate plugins that this plugin is kind of addressing in one plugin, and you can use them both at the same time on this plugin. So I'll give you a quick show and tell, then I'll show you on several instruments, then I'll show you on the mix, then I'll give you my opinion. And it is only my opinion. The good news is you can get a 14-day, as long as you've got an iLock, you can get a 14-day download from Slate today, and you can play with it yourself and make your own mind up. And then what I'm also going to do is make a separate video where I'm going to do a side-by-side test between this and the UAD stuff, and then you can make your mind up as well on the same mix. So let's give you the first show and tell and what you have. I'm going to move right to left if that's okay, because I want to come to the settings last. So we have machine type here at the top, all toggles, nicely created GUI. So we've got a 16-track 2-inch or a half-inch 2-track, and then we've got tape types 4, 5, 6 or FG9, obviously denoting different tape types. 4, 5, 6 obviously Ampex 4, 5, 6. Then we've got tape speed 30 or 15 IPS. Then we've got biasing for the tape, normal, low or high. Then we have the input, the output. What's interesting here is these are actually chained together. So if I increase the output, the input goes down and vice versa. And that works either way round, if you see there as I move them. They also have VUs, and we can see how they're controlled. Then we have, coming across here, we have a grouping option, which is quite cool. So if you want the same setting on a group of sounds, like say a drum kit, you want the drum kit to all have the same kind of tape sound, you can create groups, and every time you then alter a group. So I've got 3 groups working on this mix, which you'll see in a while. So I've got drums, I've got a mix group, and I've got a guitar group, and they're all on different groups. And if I alter my plugin on any channel, it will then alter it on all the channels, so they're all connected together, and you have up to 8 groups, which is cool. There's your bypass button there, and a little nice GUI touch there as the light goes on and off. And then we have a under the hood settings, where you can add or decrease noise reduction, wow and flutter on the tape to make it even more realistic. You can have hiss on it if you want, and which is quite interesting. So as it's playing, you've got that sense of tape hiss there. And then you've got a bass alignment, which is a kind of cut and boost, -6 and 3 dB of the bass alignment on the tape. Then you can calibrate each group separately, and you can or do a global calibration here on that. And then we have the VU ballistics. You can have them slow, fast, or medium. And then you can also have a default group where you can say, okay, group 1 is always the default group, and that will be the group that it defaults to. So at the moment, the default group is ungrouped, so there's no grouping going on. So if I started setting up different settings on different channels, then they would all respond differently. But the minute I start adding different groups in, then they will give us different responses. So really, there's not that much to it, which is nice. It's not going to take you hours to get used to it and learn it. And there's a manual to download as well in PDF format, which you can get right under the hood and start to get some real detail about what all these things will do to affect the sound that you're doing. So I've got a track that I used last time on a UAD session where I showed you the UAD plugins. So it's a typical pop rock track, and at the moment, now we're in bypass, so we put it on now. Take one out of bypass. By pressing the Alt and the Command key, I'm going to turn them all back on. What's really nice as well is that we'll turn on the main bus, is that depending on what speed setting you have, so for now, let's turn off the bus, the master group, and we're going to go to a few selected items. So we're going to use a bass guitar first. Let's start with the bass. And you hear straight away the harmonic content that starts to be added in. And we can then push the gain up. Start to distort the tape. Tape saturation happening there. If you want it cleaner, you come back this way. Then we've got a high bias, a normal bias, or of course 30 IPS will make it a duller sound. So let's put the kit in with it now. That's it off now, and you can see the body that's going in there because the harmonic content that's been introduced by the virtual tape machine. We'll put it back into 30 IPS, and you can see there now we've got more high content in there. And if I was down at 15 IPS again in my low biasing, we hear more lower content there, and that will happen. And so I've got tied together at the moment, and on group 1, I've got the kick drum and I've got the bass guitar sharing the same kind of settings. So you hear there now. Add some more kick back in. Just put the kick and the the bass together. Hear the body going in there. You see how much the biasing can make a difference there. Tape type. There's a more mid sound, in my opinion. You might differ on that opinion between the 456. The FG9 seems to give a slightly brighter response. Now what you can do, if you're finding that the saturation is too bassy, you can come into your settings and you can come here to the bass alignment and sit that back further. So I just put a little bit in. So that saturation. Let's put the snares in. The body in that snare is amazing. Those snares are very limp. And I've got a bit of 1176 on these as well, just comping them, but you can hear the body going in there. Let's take these off a second. Just again, it's what happens every time you start to use tape processing. You just start to glue the track together. Put all these on, put the whole kit on now. There's the room. You just get that huge harmonic hole. Let's try something that's not drums now. I've got a couple of Taylor acoustics here. Let's start those from the beginning. And again, very different, and this is the interesting thing always when you start using virtual tape, is that the tape's responding differently depending on what you throw at it, and that's the whole point of it, is that the tape was never an exact science. Depending on how you drove it, the biasing setup, the speed of it, the instrument that was hitting it, it would respond differently, and a really good modelled tape machine, virtual tape machine, will do exactly that. So on this guitar, we are getting a totally different response now. We took that to 15 IPS. And the good news is because I've got this guitar, both guitars are on group 3, I can alter each one of them. Want it slightly cleaner. Try different biasing. So both of those have now been changed. Now what you're getting there, if you listen, about the 5K mark, 3, 4 and 5K mark, there's a new set of harmonics coming to that guitar. There's more body in there. Again, drive it harder. Hear there how the tape's responding differently. So let's now move on. I've got a nice whirly piano here. Let's listen to that. So you can add some real nice grunting if you wanted to. This is actually on the same group as the guitars at the moment, so I can move that out to group 4, give it its own settings. Pull all this down a bit, give it some real grunt. Put it back in now. Here, there. Just a little bit of tape. And I could then go into settings as well. Put the noise reduction on, bass alignment up a bit further, just to boost the bottom end. Bit of wow and flutter as well. Put the whole track in now. Let's have a listen to the whole track now and just take stuff out of solo. As you can hear all the sound that's coming into the centre of that track now, we could just pull these guitars down for a second, these electrics. And again, on the electrics, it's really nice. So pull these guitars in for a second. Particularly, again, one thing that electrics often lack when they're recorded is some body. And you need that body to really sit them well in the mix. And so again, the body's coming in there, and on that lead in particular. It's nice. Just some real, just saturated grunt there. That's just really helping. So. So let's come to the main now. So we've got a VTM across the main, and now I'm running a 1/2 inch on FG9, running at 15 hips. High biasing, a slight push on it, and then we're going to get this sound off our mains. I can hear there, it's gluing the bottom end together. And if I just take the electrics out for a second, so we don't have the distraction of those electrics in there, it's just gluing. drop it to 30 IPS. The tonality now. That bottom end is just glued together. And out again. Okay, let's put them all in the same row so I can now bypass everything and then bring it back out. Let's bypass them all. Just serious amounts of body. Now, the other interesting thing I've found as well is you can see I've got this across a lot of tracks. I've not even put the vocal tracks in yet, so just lovely body in the vocal there. But interestingly, I've got it over lots of tracks, stereos and monos. And here's the interesting thing. It's only giving me about just about a 25% hit. So if I just for a second, actually, I'm going to take out some of these other things in here. Take out these UAD plugins, which even though they are running on their own card, you'll still get a. I'll leave the transient designer in because that's nice and that kick. I'm just going to pull out these 1176s as well and just clear that a bit. And then put these back in. So, pretty efficient over quite a lot of the mix. And I'm on a Mac. I'll show you about this Mac. There we go. 2.8 quad core, not top of the range, 12 gigabyte, running Pro Tools 10, so it's using the timeline cache, and I'm not the SSD is just a startup disk, so this is all running off a standard drive. So I think the CPU usage, the hit that you're getting off VTM, is pretty impressive. I know that some people have had concerns in the past with some of the Slate stuff that it doesn't always give you a performance that is appropriate for what you'd expect. So this is good that they've got great processing without too much of a hit and load. So if you just had it across your main bus, for example, it wouldn't be anywhere near as high either. So there we are. You can download it yourself for a 14-day demo. This is a full show and tell. Best thing is to try it on your own setup. So what do I think? I think it's great. As I say, I'm going to make another video where I put it head-to-head with the UAD gear so you can see them one against the other. Of course, that's not an entirely fair comparison because, of course, to use a UAD UAD plugin, you're going to have to buy a UAD card. So it's not going to be really apples or oranges, but at least it will give you an idea if you already own a UAD card and you're thinking about which one you should buy. So watch out for that video coming soon. In the meantime, I think it's worth the wait. It's a great plugin. It's really well designed. It's interesting because it's both subtle and at the same time you do notice what's going on, and there's plenty of tweakability for those who really want to get under the hood as well. So great work by the Slate team, worth looking at, worth trying out, worth putting on your list to have a listen to. It's certainly not worth ignoring, that's what I will say. And I think there's a deal at the moment on it, so it's selling for about $199. So it is a steal. Editor's Choice Award? Yes. Well done, Stephen. Good product, good piece of programming. Doesn't need a card to run it, so I have to give it Editor's Choice Award. And go and try it for yourself and see what you think and let me know. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.